Next thing we're going to talk about in doing our neck is shaping the back of it. I do this several different ways. Naturally, you can do it by hand. You can just take a rasp or a spoke shave and you can just manually shape them. It takes a long time. It's a lot of effort. I have two basic methods I use when I do my necks. Typically I use a router. My main way is just to use a 1/2 inch roundover and just cut a radius on the neck and then sand it. Leaves a little bit of a flat spot, but I feel that's still a pretty comfortable profile. It's quick and it's easy and it's efficient, and I do a lot of necks that way. The other way that I've been doing it is to take a 45, a chamfer bit, and cut a 45 on both sides of the neck, and then take my rasp and finish the radius. And that's what I'm going to show you today. People like a rounded profile. I don't mind just using the 1/2 inch radius and leaving a bit of a flat spot. It works pretty good. But today we're going to take, and I'm going to show you how I do it with the 45. Basically all I do is I clamp my neck, I set the depth I want to route it, and one thing, and I'll just show you, I take and I start up here. You'll notice there's still a flat spot and you can't get clear up into your heel. There is some handwork involved with this. Basically all I do from this point is just take my rasp and soften those angles so I have a nice rounded profile. Do that. It doesn't take too long. You've got a pretty nice rounded profile, and you can of course then finish with a little finer rasp file, fine tune that, and then of course sanding will finish it off. As far as back here at your heel, just same thing. Just take and work that in. Taper it into the heel. And when you're all done, it'll look real nice. Now I'm not going to stand here and video the entire process of filing this down. That'd be a waste of your time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this neck in the manner I've shown you starting this, and when it's done I'll show you the finished product. Alright, I've taken the file and everything and radius, finished radius in the back of the neck, and I just wanted to show you how nice that turns out. It does a really nice job doing the 45 and then just hand planing it. Nice thing is, like I said, with the neck, other than a grain, the scarf joint, you can barely tell where that joint comes in. It's a real nice smooth transition. Gives you a nice radius shape. Real comfortable to play, and does a nice job. So next thing we're going to talk about is fretting. Before we get too far into that, I'm going to show you a couple methods by which we put position markers, the dots on the neck. I'm going to get that set up, and then we'll move to that step. Put position markers on the neck. They're typically at the 3rd fret, 5th, 7th, 9th, the 12th fret, 15th, 17th, 19th, and you can go beyond that if you want, but we're going to stop there. Now what I typically use from Stuart McDonald, you can get these plastic rods. You can get them in white and black. You can also do a shell or pearl abalone inlay. And just for the sake of showing you both, I'm going to probably put the pearls at the 12th fret and then just white dots everywhere else. Now all I usually do is, you can center it on the neck, and I'll use one of these marking gauges to do that. But sometimes I like to be a little different, and what I'll do is I'll offset the dots, just put them on the side. So when I do that, I usually will mark about 3/8 of an inch and then just center, make a center mark in each fret position. Then what I do is I drill a 3/16 hole and then just sink a little bit of that down in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drill my holes, and then I'll show you how to set these in. Drilling the holes for the dots is really pretty simple. We come back over to the drill press, and simply all we're going to do is, we've made a mark. We got to drill down in about, not quite a 1/4 of an inch, maybe about 3/16. Just make a little bit of a hole, just enough to get the rod down in. For your side dots, it's just the same method. I've already marked it. You just center it up on the side of the fingerboard. And that's all you got to do for those. Now I'm going to grab the Forstner bit and show you how to do these. Do a piece right here. Pearl inlay dot. You use an appropriate size Forstner bit. For these, it's a 1/4 inch, 6.3 some millimeter. I don't know. And just look at the depth, how thick your piece of shell is, and then just simply just drill you a hole that's the same depth. Drill just a shade deeper than what it is, because you'll put a little bit of glue underneath that. And then basically once you've got that, your piece of shell will set right down in there. I'm going to get this back over to the bench and then show you how to put the dots on. Okay, glue in your big dots, pretty simple. Just put a little bit of glue down in there. And then just set it down in. And as you push it down in there, any excess glue will squeeze out and wipe it off. Alright, now for the plastic dots, that you just simply take and push it down into the hole. Take a flush cutting saw and saw it off. If you drill your hole right, you don't need to worry about any glue there, and then when you put a finish on your fingerboard, that'll seal them in. It's a nice, easy way to get fingerboard markers on. And the same thing for the side. Just slide it down in. And then saw them off. Nice easy fingerboard dots, position markers. All you have to do is just sand that smooth and you'll be good to go there. Next thing we're going to talk about is fretting. So I'll get that set up and then we'll go there. To do our fretting, we're going to hammer our frets in. There's other ways you can do it. They've got some real fancy fret presses and everything, which is nice, but a basic plastic tipped hammer and a pair of fret nippers is really all you need. Before I get to that, one thing I want to make note of is before you put your frets in, make sure you've done any sanding you're going to do on the fingerboard, because it's kind of hard to do afterwards. One other thing that I was going to mention is make sure that your piece of wood for your fingerboard is nice and flat. I've taken I don't know, it's probably about 6-8 inches block of wood and some 100 grit sandpaper, and I level my fingerboard. I'll sand that until I don't see any high spots, and then of course do my final sanding. Alright, fretting's pretty easy. I've already got one video up there on YouTube that a lot of you probably watched, but basically just to set the fret wire down in, just real easy. Tap it down in and nip it off. A lot of people get kind of freaked out about setting frets, but it's really no big deal. Pretty fast and easy. I do recommend the Stuart McDonald fret cutters because they're ground to cut flush, and it'll save you a lot of time addressing fret ends later. There you go. Nice and easy. Doesn't take but just a couple minutes to put frets on. If you're going to build a lot of guitars, I do also recommend buy your fret wire by the pound. It'll save you a ton of money, and you'll always have fret wire on hand for your next project. Okay, the next thing that we got to do is when you put these in, no matter how close you get them cut, you're going to have a little bit of an edge sticking out there. So what you need to do is to file those edges off. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I just like using just a flat file, and I'll run it down the side of the neck. You can hear it catching those edges. Once I've got them done flat, then I just lay my file at a bit of an angle and put my bevel on it. I make some fancy special tools to do this job, and they're nice. I've used them. And a finer file works just as well. check to make sure if you've got a nice long file, you can check and see if you have any high frets by just running it across the top. You'll be able to tell pretty quick if you got anything that's high, and you can work on it pretty well. That's about all we can do with that. Now, one thing that I will show you real quick that's pretty handy is when you cut your fret slots, you'll have a little bit of a gap in there. And what I like to do is to take and put a little bit of sawdust down in that. Just take and get some sawdust, and I save this from like when I use the drum sander on the drill press. Just take your finger and you can rub that down in there. Nice thing is when you're done, once you've got that rubbed down in there, is you can't tell that those fret slots were any deeper. You look at this side, you can still see the little slots that were cut. This side looks like they were cut to perfect depth each time. So that's a nice little tip for you. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this set into the box.